Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Daffy Duck here once again, and I'm back for some more, yet again, for the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3. So last time we actually did manage to tackle through Alaska Night, but in forms of Coolidge nighttime level, and also we beat the likes out of Dark Moray. In addition to that though, we've managed to able to restore not only the 4th continent, but also the 4th Chaos Emerald. So, or in this case, the damn 4th Chaos Emerald, as far as the part of a joke from Shadow the Hedgehog, as far as you're aware for that particular line goes. And today for this episode, folks, is the fact that we're going to be returning back into Spagonia for a final time, so that way we can able to actually go ahead and talk to Professor Pickle for a moment there, and that way we can able to actually explore the next new location in this version of the game, which, truth be told, by this point that this will be a final time we're going to be exploring through Spagonia, I'm afraid, because even then, no, I would able to actually just have some fun around here and there, but even then, no, that's only because of how the fact that as soon as the journey continues, then something else different happens. So even then, no, this might be the final time we're going to be doing a faster rail grinding to get to the world map to Professor Pickle's lab, but this will be a final time for doing this, and unfortunately I didn't do it properly enough because my homing attack doesn't feel like working with me today, or even especially noticeable that the camera controls doesn't like me today, I'm afraid. So anyways, let's talk to Professor Pickle now. Another piece restored, and another Gaia temple located, my boy. The next temple lies in Shamar, Sonic. This time I will join you myself. I have a research facility there in Shamar. Oh, I see how this will go. Now then, my friends, everyone ready to depart? I'll meet you all there. So yeah, basically now we can actually get into the next destination by the forms of Shamar, which is basically... Oh, he's gone already. I'm presuming he's actually be ready, or he'll be ready already for able to take departs to Shamar, so... Gee, I wonder what's going on over there, I wonder. But even then, I'm guessing Eggman is up to something.
All systems are green. Dark Gaia activation is confirmed on all 7 continents. Electromagnetic homing signals are locked on. All units converging on point 0.
Yes, perfect! Gathering Dark Gaia's pieces is such a pain. I'll have them come to me instead! A brilliant shift in perspective. An idea worthy of Dr. Eggman. Super genius!
Your skill at self-aggrandizement is unparalleled.
Silence! Activate the Dark Gaia fusion furnace. And while you're at it, get those energy conversion circuits warmed up.
Understood. Commencing Project Dark Gaia. Requesting final clearance.
Granted. Ha! Finally, my ambitions will be achieved.
So after that cutscene is finished, we're instantly transported in new forms of Shamar. So hopefully we can able to find ourselves Professor Pickle's new lab. So even then though, we can hopefully guarantee to find one. So, but of course, before I do that, I'm gonna have to like keep finding for those medals from the start though, but in forms of, hey, where are you going? Tails, I'm about to be finding those medals though. Jeez, what's he thinking about it? But anyway, so yeah, today was actually in forms of the 26th of, well, I would classify for saying the 27th already, because today that Nintendo Labo has been just recently released today in the forms of the UK country, which even then though, that some kids might have appreciated with this particular new concept, but in forms of Nintendo Labo, like, you know, the way you can actually create some stuff with it. But honestly, you know, I mentioned this before, that it wasn't really particularly my interest of. So anyways, let's go upstairs, and then we should able to actually find ourselves, I believe there's going to be another moon medal there. Speaking of such, there you go then. So, oh wow, I just realized about something. I was one sun medal short to able to actually reach to level 6. Well, it was no point for able to actually get to level 6. It wasn't until level 7 requirements to able to actually deal with the main majority of the game, or in this case, the most mandatory medal counts you can get. So anyways, enough about that, so let's go ahead and find Professor Pickle's lab. In fact, it's not that far from here, it's just basically it's onto that side over there, so even though it's not that hard to find. But usually I'm just trying to able to explore around Shamar, just because of, you know, medal hunting, as far as I'm aware for that point. So yeah, let's talk to Professor Pickle. Welcome to my lab. Any trouble finding place, my boy? Well, no, I don't think so. I know you just arrived, but you have had a look around the area yet.
Sonic?
Ah, and you should also be able to visit Empire City next to Shamar. Okay then, sounds promising, doesn't it? That's another spot you likely want to investigate, Sonic. So yeah, we can able to actually deal with not only one, but twice amount of investigation environments. Like for instance, we can able to actually tackle through Shamar first, or Empire City, which by the looks of it though, Empire City was not included in the forms of Nintendo Wii/PlayStation 2 version. This is mainly due to how the fact that I'm considering they're having a hard time just trying to able to render it, but in forms of how the fact what the actual premise of the Empire City looks like in the forms of the Wii and the PlayStation 2 versions, or maybe something else. Although, yeah, that's as far as I can say. So anyways, I really do love the textures in new forms of how the fact that, especially with the lighting in new forms of Shamar, it just reminds me like I was traveling to the holiday or something like that. So anyways though, enough about that topic, so let's go ahead and get into the secondary hub in new forms of, Shamar. And we can able to come across into the fourth and the final upgrade for Sonic the Hedgehog, by the forms of this little golden metallical shoes, or just golden shoes, whatever you want to call it that. But first, before I do that, I'm just gonna have to get on ourselves with the metal grinding right there, even in this case with the metal collecting, as far as I'm aware. So let's go ahead and grab our sun metal real quickly, and that will able to actually lead me up to level 6 in new forms of the sun metal counts. So even though we've only got about, let's just say 40 of them left before we're able to actually accomplish with the forms of Sun Metal's requirements until we're able to reach to level 7. So, let's go in here, and what is this? Crystal ball. Okay, that's pretty useless. Oh, I thought this is a big piece of candy. You can go ahead and eat a chip. I mean, you get like glad shards in your teeth. I mean, that'll just place it like really gruesome right there. And what's this? It's just red tea. Nothing important for my, Let's Play department, because I'm most likely focusing on, the main entire premise of this particular main game. And we got another record, but in forms of, again, music selection. And right here we got another moon medal right there. Oh god, I keep slipping off. Seriously, am I walking on ice or something? This wasn't icy physics, unlike how it does in law school or something like that. But anyways though, let's go ahead and just... what you're normally trying to do is to able to perform an air boost from the start there, and you would normally go for these rainbow rings, and yeah, as far as I can see how this will go. And it looks like we're now able to finally reach into this golden shoes, which are known as soon as I touch those, light speed dash shoes, which means we can now able to actually use the Y buttons. Here we go, and away we go. Nice. What the? Oh, please don't tell me I have to like exit out the entirety of the secondary hub, because I get a feeling these rings are, disappearing forever. That was totally my fault there, because I accidentally managed to able to actually lift the control stick up, so that's totally my fault. Alright, back again, sorry about that folks, I have to away we go for a second attempt. And before we jump into this particular daytime level, there's a sun medal from back there. So we actually got every single medals that we've got in the forms of the secondary hub. So here we go, but in forms of daytime level in Shamar, also known as Arid Sands. So let's get this thing to it. Normally, in order to actually activate the light speed dash, is by simply we need to press the Y button or the triangle button in the forms of the PlayStation 3 version, because in the PlayStation 2 version, or in this case the Wii version, if you actually use the GameCube controller option on the Wii version of the game, that is definitely by far the hardest sun medal we can get from there, because even though you need to really time your stomp ability or what have you until you're able to actually hopefully able to actually grab that you know, medal as far as I'm aware. So anyways, let's go ahead and just do some drifting right there. This is why the game starts to get really, really difficult, especially with the forms of how the fact that, wow. Okay, quick time events. Okay, good. So that way we can able to actually get ourselves some more rings in addition to an alternative pathway. Oh, I got flinged by the forms of, oh no, just bounced back by the forms of these little, well, Robotnik or Dr. Eggman based springs, which, yes, these are the elements points of the forms of the level. Can you get up there? Thank you. There we go, that's more like it. So anyways though, this level, it was okay. I mean, surely I, managed to able to really dig into this music, although something is almost reminds me like a Aladdin vibe to it, but I don't know what this, oh, I need to go back because I need to get, or obtain rather, I need to obtain that moon medal from the start. So that way I can able to actually get into level 6 requirements of, oh, what am I jinxing myself there? And how do I manage to clear through that without even like sliding through it? Okay, jump, there we go. So that way we can get ourselves an alternative way, so there we go then. There's also an achievement on this particular level / trophy in this level. This is the fact that, I should probably mention about this right from the start though. Oh yeah, you can able to actually use the light speed dash as much as you liked it would be. Unlike how it does in the green hover from the forms of Sonic Colors, especially noticeable by the forms of Sonic Lost World even, and even especially noticeable in the Lightning Wisp on in Sonic Forces, and even especially noticeable by the forms of these glowing trio of rings in the forms of Sonic Generations that normally you can able to actually perform a light speed technique, but in this you can able to actually use the light speed dash as much as you like. So even now, oh, I missed that moon medal, shoot. But don't worry, at least I can still get some plenty of moon medals alike until when we get to the future points throughout, so don't worry, we'll get to those. So, because there's a sun medal right there, if you manage to perform a quick time event correctly, so even now that would able to deal a job there. See, as I mentioned earlier, that this particular level has an achievement / trophy. In order to actually get to it, you must able to finish this level within 2 minutes and 50 seconds or less. Which, to me, that's actually kind of difficult though, because as long as you're able to actually know what the level layout plays out, then if you manage to play this no problem, then you would able to actually just achieve that achievement or trophy if you ever play this on the PlayStation 3. And it's also the same applies to how it does in the forms of, well, Apato's Windmill Isle Act 2 in daytime level, because I believe on that particular time you need to reach into is probably 2 minutes and 35 seconds or something, or 45 seconds. I wasn't really 100% certain on that one, but we'll see what happens there. But unfortunately, I didn't get myself onto that because even I know that I had to restart on that level. So if you manage to boost it right there, you would normally able to actually skip the entire portions of the forms of the platforming sections and whatnot. So stupid, well-placed collapsing pillows. And we can able to get an extra life now, which actually leads us to 30 one-ups. Seriously, you can get a lot of one-ups in this version of the game, which I give this game some credit for, because even then, unlike how it does in the forms of, you know, the Wii and the PlayStation 2 version, as soon as you actually keep on revisiting those Gaia gates on those two versions, in order to actually get one-ups, by simply we need to tackle through some of these sections in the forms of the Gaia Gates hub worlds and all what have you. So, okay, B rank, it's not that bad of a rank, but even then, no. I could have preferred just trying to able to go for A or S rank, but might as well able to have to stuck with it, I suppose. But anyway, as for the leveling up, I'll just simply level up combat into level 11 now. And we'll save the rest of the actual experience points for life for Sonic the Werehog. So even then, that makes a little bit of a preference there. So even then, that's the only things I can think of. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just... I'm assuming the next objective we're going to be moving to right now is the forms of we're going to be traveling to Empire City next. So, I apologize if my dialogue is actually gone really corny today. It's because... first off, there's not much news information about them, and also besides the fact with the you know, Nintendo Labo has been just recently released on the forms of Nintendo Switch. But even then, that's as far as I can really say about this here. So before you leave Shumar's Hub World, I might as well actually go ahead and go after these sun medals and what have you. Even though I've already reached into level 6 of those sun medals at the moment, so even then I need to get more than that until I'm able to actually reach into level 7, which is the final level of mandatory medals you can get. So hopefully this will able to actually get ourselves a more to Delta for anyway, so let's just go ahead and just checking what's in here, but even then, no. I'm considering that there's one of those sun medals is going to be on here, which I did see that right from here. So, nicely done though. Especially noticeable how the fact that we've almost there towards the end of the game. So, even then, no, as far as that DLC packs of this game, I would promise you guys I would able to tackle for those as well. So, even then, no. I'll talk more details on the forms of how the fact with the DLC stuff until when we get to the very ending portion of this game's Let's Play. Well, at least the main story playthrough, because even then, no, that much like how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, that, you know, normally I just managed to able to tackle for those DLCs, despite the fact that I have some raging moments in very hard mode, just because of how the fact that, well, sometimes that glitches can always throws me off at one point, but I think I can definitely guarantee that glitches always screws me up at some point or another. Compared to how it does in new forms of, I would classify for saying, like, you know, also for that little glitchy game, which is Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, that terrible Wii U game. I just wanna... I'm sorry, I just cannot stand that freaking game. Anyways though, so now we're able to actually unlock into either Shamar or Empire City. Of course, we're going to be heading to Empire City next. So that way we can able to actually go ahead and get even more medals. And especially notable with the story progressioning. So, as far as for the Empire City is concerned, I've already mentioned about the forms of the actual Shamar, you know, the continent that is based off from. Well, depends on what country you lived in. I'm pretty sure this might be something to do with like a South and Western or something like that. I wasn't 100% sure on that one. But I do recognize the Empire City that is actually based off from, because this is inspired by United States of America. Because obviously, because of, you know, too many stars on that particular, well, flag region that's based off from. And also, I believe there's going to be a tons of buildings throughout in a, you can definitely tell why until when we get to the nighttime level and stuff like that, so... But, first things first, let's go ahead and get some more medals, but in forms of not only sun medals, which you saw right there, but also some moon medals as well, so even now we can able to actually get those until... before we jump into, the nighttime level of Empire City, so speaking of which, I got them both. So now let's go ahead and jump into the secondary hub, and able to actually get ourselves even, more medals along the way, like sun and moon medals, so... that should be worth a while. Okay then, so let's go ahead and just hop into this particular section here. And basically we have to deal with this particular cannon counterpulse section right there. And there we go, I managed to accomplish that. Now, air boost here, because normally with the light speed dash it will not work that way. And this sun medal can get pretty tricky to get, because you have to be right on with that. There we go. Strangely enough, I managed to done this on the first attempt. So, how about that then? And, okay, I totally forgot that you need to able to find the hourglass to able to actually switch between, you know, day and night cycle between Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Werehog simultaneously, so, totally forgot about that. So, oh, speaking of the DLC stuff in the forms of Sonic Unleashed, I would normally try to able to go after the DLC stuff on the PlayStation 3 as well, so I need to get a lot of practice on the forms of the DLC stuff before we jump into the DLC stages in this particular Let's Play, so that I might as well able to do that first in the forms of the PlayStation 3 downloadable version, so don't worry, we'll get to that point until eventually when it gets to, well, the release dates on the forms of, don't worry, the Let's Play of Sonic Unleashed for the 360/PlayStation 3 wasn't exactly over yet, because obviously we have the main story to tackle through first, and I know there's technically other stages we can tackle through, but it's entirely optional though if you want to able to be very curious if you want to do those, but honestly it's not my cup of tea or anything, unless if I do this on my own time though, but even then though, that's as far as I can say. Okay though, so let's go ahead and grab the last moon medal onto that particularly secondary hub world in the forms of Empire City. And we need to able to destroy those generators until we're able to actually jump into Skyscraper Scamper in the forms of Empire City Night. So, yeah, this is the only continent that does not feature a Gaia temple or anything like that. So this is basically a simple premise of the extra level that is only exclusive to the forms of the Xbox 360 version / PlayStation 3 version, because obviously this version does not make an appearance in the Wii and the PlayStation 2 version after all, so... oh great, tons of more enemies to deal around here, so as you expected from any other beginning portions of the forms of the nighttime levels like this in this version of the game, or else unlike how it does in the forms of the Wii and the PlayStation 2 version, normally we don't start things off to be able to fight against with these enemies at first glance, so that makes it a little bit more of a, well, easier aside from that. Sorry for a little bit of a belching there, folks. I really do apologize for that. But I digress. So let's go ahead and beat the likes out of this particular guy here. Oh, nice combos there. And hopefully we can actually finish the job. And booyah, he's down. So as far as I'm aware of how the fact that how the this particular place is almost exactly that's usually based off from the United States of America, because again, tons of building sites and all that stuff, and especially noticeable that the jazzy music has been playing on the background. I actually really do like this particular music, and even then though, until when we get to the daytime level in the forms of you know, Empire City Day, oh man, things can get really energetic right there. So even then though, yeah. Okay, so let's beat the likes out of this enemy right here with the tiny arena, which is not a good place to able to deal with battles and all that stuff, because if I accidentally just manage to able to do like a, drop my experience points, shoot. Ah, that's pretty bad. Anyway, so this is what the level starts to get really difficult with the nighttime levels like this, because you know how the fact that normally back in during the likes of Abattoirs, and especially noticeable by the forms of what's classified for saying Spagonia and stuff like that, that normally you would able to actually grab onto this little tightrope walking stuff. Oh yeah, and same applies to Missouri as well. And except for Alaska Night, because in Alaska Night we actually introduce into ourselves the lack of edges in the forms of grabbing onto the ledges in the forms of the tightrope sequences. Well, that's not the case here, because even then, well, you still can able to actually grab the edge of the tight walking side of things, but it wasn't until when we actually come across into another version of those before we actually get into the continuation point of this particular level. So I'm hoping I can able to actually do not die again, and if I die again, I'm pretty much going to be ticked off at one point. Well, when it comes to getting the A ranks run through, well, thankfully though, this game doesn't force you to able to actually get the achievement / trophy to able to actually get every single S ranks on every level, because, well, thank goodness for that, because unlike how it does in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, specifically on the achievements wise, no trophies mind you for the PlayStation 3 owners, but you have to able to actually get every single S ranks in the forms of not only the actual stages themselves, but and also same applies for the difficulties as well. Well, except for very hard missions, because these are forms of DLC content, and it can be the same applies for how it does in the boss attack modes between Sonic and Shadow and Silver, and even in forms of Team Attack Amigo, and as far as I can tell for that part. And also the same applies for the town missions that also requires you to able to deal with the achievements requirements, which, to me, these are incredibly impossible to able to get those achievements in the forms of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 when it comes to those achievements in the Xbox 360 version, because you know how the fact that I've already mentioned about that in the forms of how the fact that how mediocre that game was, but even then though, that thankfully though, Sonic Unleashed did manage to fix that tradition, thankfully though, like, although I have to admit though, that the load times are literally everywhere in that version, but even then though, it doesn't take far too long compared to how it does in the forms of Sonic 06, because, Jesus Christ, those loading screens take forever to actually get into the actual main action in the forms of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 game. And speaking of such, I always kept on mentioning about that game until then. But at least I wasn't really going to be talking about the majority of Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, because I just really hate that game so much. Because, you know, it's nothing like a Sonic game to me. Although, it might, as for characters, it might actually outdone like Sonic-like, but they always talked way too much in the forms of every time you grab things and bouncing onto these bounce pads, which really irritated me, and in forms of combat skills and whatever, which even though that's the only reason why I'm not going to be buying Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric anymore, because as far as I'm aware, at this point on Amazon.co.uk, the pricing range in the forms of Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric is disgustingly expensive at the moment. It's like £45. That doesn't worth it for me. I mean, the game itself is easily rushed, and even then though, that I'd still prefer, you know, Shattered Crystals, because it feels like almost like a Sonic game, like the forms of just only 2D, mainly 2D action, but at the same time it feels like a Metroidvania type of style of gameplay, because you have to find for specific amount of items, which even now, that might be a little bit of an overstated welcome when it comes to levels like that, but thankfully though, in Fire and Ice did manage to fix this everything, but the forms of Shadow Crystals have, and that's far as I can see. Okay, so this is the difficult part about this level though, because you know these little tightrope walking sequences like this. You know how the fact that in the forms of any other tightrope sequences that normally we can actually grab onto the edge. Well, in these particular tightrope walking sections like these brown metallical platforms, as you can see there, you're no longer gonna have to grab them, because even then though, if what happens if you manage to able to get off the edge, you fall off to the abyss and you die. So even then though, you have to watch out for that. So there's the third sun medal right there. So even then though, we can able to actually get 7 more left. I think I do recognize all 10 of those sun medals in this particular level so far. So even then though, I know exactly what I'm doing. So hopefully I won't die right there. Sometimes the camera always trying to fake you out too, because it's especially noticeable how the fact that if you want to get into a straight line, and you can't able to change the angle of it either, so even then if that's the case, then you would normally be able to classify for able to actually screw yourselves over by the forms of some platforming sections notice. Okay, now, just try to jump off this platform right there, and we wait until we're able to actually get into the checkpoint right. You were kidding me! Why is my jump button did not work? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Trying to jump over there. There we go. Now we touch the checkpoint right there. Oh, jeez Louise. Oh, jeez Louise too. Because I'm almost gonna fall off and die. And then thankfully though, the checkpoint wasn't far from here though, I don't think. But, oh my god, my freaking jump button does not work out for me today. Which I know it sounds illogical from that, but it's all because of how the fact that, well, the timing addition can be a little bit of a problematic at some point. But anyway. So let's go ahead and dish out as many of those enemies before we do anything. And I believe I can see there's a moon medal right underneath that, or it's right hidden in the forms of that umbrella of some sort. But first off, let's go ahead and dish out as many enemies first before we're able to obtain the moon medal from this. And you know how the fact that we actually come across into this switch, right? That normally, that if you guys who think that that's already been active, well, it turns out it's already active enough. But it turns out that the switch did actually activate the actual electricity fans, which means we need to deactivate the switch. Assuming if you actually turn the liver switch to red, this means the laser electricity will turn off. So that way we're able to actually proceed on things. So let's go ahead and just carefully time our jumps or what have you until we... You are kidding me! Seriously! Okay then, third time. There's a charm. Now the reason why I just keep on restarting for this level was though, is the fact that if you try to jump at the right time, if you jump at the wrong time at the forms of these tightrope sequences, you do not balance it successfully, your life will be gone for good. Which even then though, that can get a lot of frustration here and there, but honestly, that's just how I think it is when it comes to that specific situation. Which, that happens the same issue I have with the forms of both Mario Party 1 in the forms of tightrope treachery minigame, and especially noticeable with the forms of Rainbow Run in the forms of Mario Party 2, because of the aesthetical differences by the forms of between these two minigames. But still, it just feels incredibly consistent to me though, but that's just totally my fault there. So anyways though, let's go ahead and just beat the likes out of these enemies once again, and hopefully we can able to actually get things on all that stuff and what have you, but even then, yeah. I think I get the feeling that how the fact that most of these nighttime levels, I have to admit though, can get really long every now and then, which even then though, that might be because some of a lot of potentials there, but even then though, it's not too far enough as far as we'll go, but even then though, we'll see what happens there. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and double check in here, and we can actually beat the likes out of these posters, and we can actually come across into not only Eggman's robots, but also a sun medal. So let's see how much we can get. We got 5 of them. So even though we've already got a halfway portion of the sun medals grinding for at one point or another. So it's a good thing too. I've actually just sort of recognized all 10 of those sun medals to begin with, because I've already experienced this level on the forms of my own time on the PlayStation 3 version. So yeah, good thing by me. So let's go ahead and just keep on mashing the B button or the circle button if you want it for your version you'll be playing. So we're able to actually activate the, well, the horizontal bar grapple thing. So even though we can able to swing back and forth, and able to actually grab onto this something a little bit more, obstacle related, so I don't know why I'm saying that, because even I know, yeah. Okay, so it turns out we need a stone, but it doesn't require to able, well, I'll explain more on that later. So here we go with this little particular Titan boss here. It's been a long time since we actually saw this guy, ever since during the likes of, I was saying last time we saw him, it's actually forms of, I would classify for saying buddy forms of appetite, pretty much. So, yeah, it's been a long time, buddy. So let's see how tougher you were, though, compared to how he does new forms of, oh crap, shouldn't go near to him. Alright, so he's doing a shockwave attack. Now, this can get really, really unfair, though, especially noticing with the boss arena itself, or the enemy arena. It's pretty too small for my liking, because even then, if you manage to get a, like, I don't know, so much more potential that, oh, shoot. That's a bit unfair, though. But anyways, though, but we can still able to actually have a rematch against with him thanks to the checkpoint that we've automatically touched, though. So, but unfortunately, I've lost my score and my unleashed meter, so that's a bit of a bad thing for my parts right there. So yeah, it's incredibly inconsistency right there. As far as you guys should already know about this at this point, at this rate. Okay, careful, careful, careful. Be sure to not get hit by this particular Titan. So, I'm hoping I would able to actually finish him off by this point. Oh, thank you, fans. Thank you. I really appreciate the fact that I would able to actually become safer for those particular fans. And, oh, that was really, really, really unfair. I hate when things like that happens. It's almost like a retro video game thing whenever you get hit and then knock back and hit you to like the bottomless pit below. Because, don't remind me for that point, folks, but because this is pretty much a 10-year-old game almost. But even then, it's almost like a retro video game syndrome, because you can't able to actually recover from that, like, none whatsoever. Unlike how it does in Kingdom Hearts 2, you can able to actually get yourselves a skill called aerial recovery. That way we can able to actually recover ourselves by the forms of mid-air attacks. And I apologize about the fact that my game frame rates attempt to lag it a little bit, but it still runs quite well at some points or another, but that's just how it is for me. So anyways, no, excuse me. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna use my B button commands yet, unless if yeah, he's almost down at this point. So even then, I was hoping to wait until when his health is almost being depleted. I think I should probably just finish him off now. So let's see, B, Y, and B. Bye or babe, whatever those usually be in turns out with. So anyways, now we're done with him. Quite frankly, I know he's actually way tougher than it looks to me though, and as a result, we can now able to finally grab ourselves the yellow stone, of course. So that way we can able to actually take that in the forms of the pedestal. So even then, we can able to actually place that, and hopefully we can able to continue where we left off in the forms of well, Empire City. Jeez, I don't know how much deaths I've encountered in this level so far. I'm presuming I've died about I will classify for 4 deaths so far, which is not that great of a run through, but even then, no. We'll see what happens right there until at the very end before we're able to beat the likes out of these enemies, of course, including the likes of Eggman's robots, of course. So, hopefully everything else will be doubly checked from here and onwards, but at least it's something else. So anyways, let's go ahead and see what's beyond here. We got ourselves an extra life back after getting owned by the forms of the Titan enemy. And this is going to be very tricky and difficult, because not only do we have to go with this particular non-grabbable edge by the forms of the boardwalk, but also, you know, these little stripey-based platforms right there, they attempt to crumble every once in a while. But I'm assuming it only lasts for about, I would say, 3 or 4 seconds or less than that. But you have to be very, very careful right there, because even then, if you manage to screw things up in the forms of some of these platforming sections, notice. Then next thing you notice, you would fall off and die, and you have to go back to the beginning portion of that section again, which is not that fun by me. So anyways though, let's go ahead and just continue exploring for this point. Now, obviously this electricity fence is still blocking our pathway, but of course we do need to destroy that little electric generator before we're able to actually continue with our process there. Before we're able to actually just not manage to able to get any sort of interruptions there. So anyways, let's beat the lives out of these robots there first. And I can definitely tell, I can perfectly trying to see there's going to be a sun metal around here, which I'm pretty hoping it will be, because even then at this point, at this rate, that we pretty much definitely need more of the sun metals before we're able to actually finish the entirety of the game itself, which even now that would able to happen. So speaking of such, I've got my sun metal right with me. So there we go then. Alright, so we're probably able to actually just finish up with the rest of the robots before we're able to actually just qualify to get not only for some score-based system, but it's also because I need to grind for some more experience points. So that's about it, obviously. So I believe it's going to be a moon medal right there, which I've already obtained that. So because we need to be able to deal with the height syndromes and anything else like that. So anyway, let's go ahead and just continue. And I believe we're almost nearly towards the end of this level, quite frankly, though, because we've only got the last few buildings left we're able to actually investigate through, and plus the checkpoint here and there as well. So I believe it's going to be a yet another sun medal, which I believe the final 3 sun medals is going to be on this section. So I'm going to have to grab this one first before I'm able to actually continue onwards. So let's go ahead and obtain this one here. And we obviously got the 8th one, so we've only got 2 more left of the forms of sun medals grinding. And I'm hoping we can actually get ourselves even more moon medals before we're able to reach to level 6 at this rate. But even then, we'll actually get to that point right there. So speaking of which, we got ourselves another moon medal right there. So that's the 3rd one. And I think at this point, that how the fact that we've only got 1 more moon medal before we're able to reach into level 6 progressioning of the forms of moon medals count. So hopefully we can able to actually get to there at one point. Did not meant to activate the switch after the forms of, well, during the battle sequences there. So I have no idea how that happened right there, but we'll just have to accept the fact. So let's keep on grinding for more health before anything else happens to me if something screws me over. But hey, on the plus side note, then we pretty much almost nearly finished this level though before we're able to actually do some more things. Most notably the daytime level coming up, and especially noticeable by the forms of Shimon Knights later on too. So oh, there's actually an extra life down there, so I probably should able to carefully grab it, and there we go. So thankfully though, our lives count is up to 32, so I probably should need more than that before we reach at the very end of the game, including the likes of the DLC stages here and there as well. Both the daytime stages and the nighttime stages all together, so yeah, that's as far as I can tell for that situation goes for that point. So we need to shift the block over or carry the block over until we're able to get ourselves the 9th sun medal. And yeah, the reason why we need to use this to begin with is only because, you know, the switch that I've managed to able to activate it for, or in this case the forms of the generator, but in this case the electricity generator. Sorry about that point, folks. And basically we need to destroy that as always, and we need to shift over that block over there until we're able to actually open up the door. But only the cube can able to actually open that for the last very long time. Unless if you actually just let the box, or in this case the cube, go of the forms of the switch itself, it'll just close it back again. So here's the 10th and final sun medal, by the way, and there we go. We got ourselves all the sun medals ever since, well, Missouri Night. So, and also the same applies to how it does in Spagonia Night as well. So it must have well able to actually include that. So, oh boy, another Titan enemy right there. So it's kind of weird how the fact that whenever when we actually approach into the Titan-based enemy right there, that this particular theme doesn't play in the forms of the background music, unless if the actual premise, if you actually keep on beating the likes out of the crap out of him. Okay, he's almost down. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably because of my Xbox 360 version of the game seems to have a little bit of a slow time to able to actually read the some of the official music going on here. Okay, Y, X, and B. Good. So that way we get more points in addition to more experience points that I can able to hopefully try to grab. Let's see if I can get up to 16. I'm hoping I might as well get to 16. Oh, so close to get 16 experience. Oh well. Kudos to that. So anyways, there's the gold ring right there. Thank goodness for that, because I died so many times on this level. And there's the 4th moon medal right there, in case if you want to grab that. It's really easy to miss that though. But I still managed to get the A rank though, despite that I've died about 4 times at this point. So anyways, we got ourselves the record right there. And that's the only bonus item we can get. And now we've actually reached into level 6 with the forms of the moon medals requirements. So yeah, we're pretty much done with the moon medals as far as the actual main plot elements goes. See, Fernando, that there's no point for me to collecting the majority of those moon medals sorry, I can't speak today, folks. at this point in time that we're no longer going to be continuing hunting for those moon medals unless there are some levels still required to able to hunt for those moon medals, unless if you're trying to 100% this game, but in forms of the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3 version for this matter, then good luck with that trying to find them. So anyway, that pretty much does it for Empire City Nights. So yeah, so at this point that we've already got level 6 in the forms of moon medals, so even though now we can able to actually access to Shimon Knights with the forms of that certain requirements. But it wasn't until the next video I'm afraid I'm going to be tackling for that stage. So join me next time on Let's Play Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3. It's the fact that we're going to be heading back to Shamar and talk to the Professor Pickle for a moment there to see that what sort of next objectives we're going to be doing with next. It could be either Empire City Day, Shamar Night, or the next location. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.